pipes in the cities and in the hotels. And I don't care how clean the hotel looks, the water is still not safe. Okay? Is that working now? Because this is the important part we want the Dixie students to know. So we want you to only drink safe beverages. As we said last week, you can bring a water bottle with you that you can refill. GMT will provide us access to safe water. Every day you'll be filling up your water bottle, and it is going to be warm, so you're going to want to stay hydrated. So you'll have access to bottled water. If you need to go buy a bottle of water, please be cautious about where you buy that bottle of water. You would want to go to an established grocery store, buy it off the shelf. If you buy it off a street vendor, anybody knows what they do?
They refill bottles and resell them.
Yeah, they put a little bit of glue so you hear that pop when you turn the thing. So do not buy them off street vendors. Make sure you're going to an established grocery store when you're buying a bottle of water. Juices are fine, carbonated beverages are fine, fountain drinks are not okay. Why is that? If you're, soda at the fountain.
Have their own water supply, like it's a...
Yeah, and avoid ice, okay? No ice, okay? I don't care how much you want that crunch in your mouth, no ice. And here's the kicker. This is how almost every one of our students gets sick. They brush your teeth with bottled water only, and don't rinse your toothbrush back in the water that's coming out of the spigot, okay? Very, very important for you, very, very important for all of the people you are with. Remind each other all the time, okay? I've seen more students get sick this way than anything. So make sure that you've always got a bottle of water when you're brushing your teeth, okay? Is this food safe to eat? What do you think? Looks really good, and maybe some of you who have been in countries like this for a long period of time have tasted the street food. Everybody is eager to taste the street food, but it usually is not kept at a safe temperature, so it's not safe to eat. We recommend you only eat what GMT approves of, okay? Now, with GMT, we're going to be going to restaurants for dinner, right? And we'll be having lunches provided for us. Did they provide lunches that were hot lunches? Okay. So if you know that you're prone to stomach illnesses, things like that, then you really want to be even more careful. So what are some safe foods to eat for those of you that went on the GMT trip? What did you feel safe eating? Morning, Kim. What did you feel safe eating?
Like just on our own, or?
Yeah, both places.
I brought a bunch of protein bars.
Oh, okay. No, I meant while you were there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
You didn't eat anything?
Protein bars.
That's all you ate?
And rice and beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very sensitive.
Laura?
Usually, if it seems like it was being cooked then, like it hadn't been sitting for a while, I was okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's tough to tell.
Yeah. So it is going to be hard. You're going to see a lot of different meat that you've never seen before, and
We did stop at fruit stands and stuff, and everyone was eating that, and that was fine.
and they were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bananas are really good. You could exist on bananas. You know, if it's fruit and you can peel it, I mean, you can exist on bananas. So why would you not want to eat salads? Why do you think salads would be dangerous for you?
Bugs on
Not necessarily the bugs.
They haven't cleaned them.
Yeah, it's the water source. Think about the water source. Think about the slide before. That's the water they're using to wash the lettuce and wash the salads with. So you think, oh, salad's going to be really healthy and safe. It's often not. No uncooked meats. It's not going to be where you want to have sushi. Probably not. Sometimes things are deep fried. Why is deep fried a little better? Kills everything. Yeah. Yeah. What did you eat, Mike, while you were over there?
What did I eat?
Yeah.
You don't want to know what I ate?
Yeah. That's what I said. Usually don't talk to people that have been there for years because they eat everything and they think they're immune from it.
Basically are.
Huh?
You get sick for the first 3 months, and then after that you get sick.
Unless you come back with Giardia.
I don't want that. I got a seagull while I was there. That was exciting.
So please be careful, okay?
Yeah.
Boil it, peel it, cook it, or don't eat it. Traveler's diarrhea. I know this is not an easy topic, but guess what? I looked through this group and I guarantee you half of you are going to get this. So, it's a fact of life that you'll probably get it. Hand washing is really, really important, okay? Because you may encounter access to this when you go to the bathroom. So if you're going to the bathroom, and the communities that we're going to, the restrooms that you're going to may not be restrooms like we're used to here. Okay, we may be doing a clinic in a village, and you've got to go into a home that has pretty much an outhouse as its restroom facility. So it's really important that you are carrying your own toilet paper. So on your packing list, make sure you're bringing toilet paper, make sure you're bringing wet wipes, and you always carry those with you every day, okay? As well as hand sanitizer. If you wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, drink plenty of fluids. We will bring some Imodium with us. We will always have Imodium with us. Imodium, if you don't know, takes care of diarrhea. We're going to be on some long bus rides, and you do not want to have a problem while we're on a 3-hour bus ride. So please, if you do not bring your own Imodium, ask us for some. We will have access to some. And it usually takes about an hour to kick in. So, you know, if we're heading out on a long bus ride, make sure you've taken that if you've got a problem. If you have ends up being dysentery, that's when you're going to need the antibiotic. And so if you know you're prone to this, just make sure that you've got it. But the beauty of this is we're traveling with doctors, okay? So that's the best part of this, is so that if you do get sick, we've got doctors that are right there with us. So hopefully it's not too much of a problem. But if you don't get treatment for the diarrhea, it can go into dysentery. And that's where I have had students that have had to get hospitalized while we were on a trip. And hydration is really important if you do get diarrhea. I know that you want to think oppositely, but you don't want to get dehydrated while we're there. And we want to get you on an antibiotic as soon as possible. If you think you're prone to this, you may want to talk to your family doctor and get an antibiotic prophylactically in advance so that you can start taking one as soon as something happens. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. We may not always have access to soap and water, and that's why it's really important that you use the hand sanitizer. But I will tell you, after like half a day at the clinics of not having running water and just using hand sanitizer, your hands get really schmeggy anyway. And so you may want to have some of those wet wipes to clean them off before you eat your lunch. Just a tip that you might want to use. Okay, now we're going to talk about some important stuff. How to protect yourself from malaria. Okay, we're also going to talk about leishmaniasis and chikungunya. So I've been doing these presentations for a very long time, and it's the University of Utah Health Department that their travel clinic that put this presentation together for us. And I thought, what are these things? I've never even heard of them. Nobody's ever going to get these. Well, when this student of ours got sick and had to be hospitalized in Florida on our way back, we had to have an infectious disease doctor that came in, and he ran tests for all of these and said these are all probable things that could cause somebody getting sick. So I thought, oh wow, this is just hyped up or whatever, but apparently it's not. So malaria, we are traveling not during the rainy season, which is good. So if we were traveling during the rainy season, you might want to be a little more proactive. But you still want to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Mosquito-borne illnesses are very prevalent. And the symptoms may begin several days or several months after you get bitten. So you want to make sure that you're conscientious of that. And here are some of the symptoms: shaking, chills, high fever, headaches, muscle aches, things like that. In the DR and in Panama, it's a slight risk because we're not traveling during the rainy season. So we would recommend that you do some of the precautions in here. So just remember that if you come back from this trip and like a month later you start getting these things, just remember to tell your doctor that you've been out of the country. Helps them better diagnose you, helps them treat you faster. Just remember that. So leishmaniasis is a parasitic insect that you can get, and actually my husband got this while we were in Nicaragua one year. He decided to go take a walk. We were at a body of water, like a mini lake, and he was walking. He even had scrub bottoms on, and the sand fleas got up into him, and he got it on both of his legs. And it was quite hard to get rid of once he got back. It took several rounds of antibiotics. It was very painful. It took him a while to diagnose it. He even had to get a biopsy of his skin to figure out what it was. So you want to protect yourself even if you've got clothing on. And then chikungunya is this thing that causes joint pain. I was so surprised that it even existed, and they were even testing our student for it. Another mosquito-borne virus. The one other disease that this does not talk about that's mosquito-borne that is common is dengue. Dengue fever is also very common. So, what do you do to prevent yourself from getting this? Wear light-colored clothing, long sleeves and long pants. Don't wear perfumes or scented soaps or lotions. That seems to attract things. Some people are also genetically predisposed to mosquito bites. Anybody resonate with that? Anybody go somewhere and you just get bit? You are the one that just gets bit. You can be somewhere and that lone mosquito is going to find you. So in your case, and now they're saying there is a genetic marker for that. You have got to be very proactive. So we recommend that you pre-treat your clothing with permethrin. Anybody used permethrin before? Permethrin, you can buy it. It comes in a spray bottle, or you can buy a jug of it. Please, it is very dangerous. It is a toxic chemical. I had a student once that put it in a bathtub and doused their clothing in it. That is not how you treat your clothes with permethrin. You buy it in a spray bottle, and you spray your clothes, and you put them outside for them to dry, and you can't take the permethrin on the plane, okay? So if you are prone to mosquito bites, that's one really good way of doing that. We will be staying, I think, in decent hotels where you probably won't need mosquito nets. Once we went on a trip to Nicaragua where we were on rivers, and we stayed in these like huts, and we did need mosquito nets. But I don't think you'll need those. But I do recommend that you buy Sawyer's Controlled Release. So if you go to Walmart and you just buy the off-brand stuff, it usually does not work as well as this stuff does. Now you can order this online through Amazon, you can go to like REI, or you can buy it at our own public health department here in Cedar City. If you go up to DL Sargent Drive, our Southwest Public Health Department sells this. So we highly recommend using something like this. And you want to be consistent with how you put it on. Yeah.
So can we fly with that?
You can fly with that, yes. You want to be putting it on all the time. You want to put it on in the morning when you wake up. You may come back after a clinic and take a shower because you're dirty before dinner. You want to put it on after that. And then if you are really prone to it and you notice that you've left your door open in your hotel room, you want to put it on before you go to bed. Okay? The more proactive you are at taking care of yourself, the better. And you've got to put it in all the little crevices, like under the backs of your ears, on the top of your feet, your toes. Those are really nasty places to get a mosquito bite, but they're often the ones that you don't think about. Okay. This is a fish poison that you can get from eating fish. We probably won't be doing that. One of the things that you can do is make sure you're healthy before you go. I always say this, but then students, I know your schedules, you're always, cramming in so much in your day, but try to be really healthy before you go. but so you don't get sick on the plane going over there, so that you are taking really good care of yourself, getting a lot of rest and things like that before you go. Bring enough medication if you are on any prescription medications to last the whole trip. It's going to be hard to get refills, and we recommend that you carry those with you in your carry-on, or even have an additional one in your checked luggage if you are dependent upon any kind of medication. And I think we've read through the emergency things that you've filled out. I don't think anybody's on insulin. Anybody have a peanut allergy or using EpiPen? Nope. We'll check with the folks down at St. George as well. If you do, make sure that somebody else knows where your medication is in case you go into anaphylactic shock. We know how to get an EpiPen administered to you. Again, we also had a situation where we were at this was on the Dominican Republic trip. We were doing sandwiches at lunch, and someone had cooked a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on a griddle, and then somebody else who was allergic to peanuts came and did a grilled cheese sandwich, and just the minute traces of the peanut butter on that griddle caused her to go into anaphylactic shock. Thank goodness we were at the guest house, which is right next to a hospital. We EpiPenned her and took her to the hospital where she went on steroids. So I think that's all pretty self-explanatory. We will be, like I said, we're traveling with a bunch of doctors. We're traveling with, a healthcare program, so we have a lot of these first aid types of things with us. Do make sure you've got your hand sanitizer and gels. You might want to bring a flashlight. I know a lot of you depend on your phone for your flashlight, but we're going to be in places where the power may go out, your phone might not be charged, and you may need to figure out a way to get to the bathroom or something. So flashlights are really important. Make sure you're bringing sunscreen, okay, because we're going to be outside. A few rolls of toilet paper. You can usually get by on one roll of toilet paper. And then we have your medical profile. With your health insurance card, for most of you, if you have to incur any out-of-pocket things because you have to have extra treatment, you'll usually have to pay for that in advance and then get reimbursed from your health insurance when you get back. So you may just want to make sure we have a copy of your card, and we'll bring a copy of it.
Just to note that a lot of insurance policies only cover out-of-country, like, emergency expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to go anywhere, to make sure that you go to an emergency room and not like a health clinic.
Yeah,
because otherwise they may not cover it.
It is a bit of a conundrum down there because hopefully anything that you get we can treat with the doctors that we're at. But if you had a student that was bitten by a spider once and she didn't tell anybody until it got really bad, and she had to be put in a clinic for a day to get IV antibiotics. So please also let us know, and that's in the slide here. But if you are purchasing that SUU insurance, make sure you do that in advance. You cannot purchase that just like 2 weeks before we go. It will not cover you. So make sure if you are going to use that SUU insurance, and that's good for non-SUU students as well, and that will cover, like I said, many of you have high deductible plans, and you don't want to be out of pocket like our student in the DR, $4,000. So. Take care of yourself. If you get sick, let us know early, okay? I would much rather be proactive, like I said, with the mosquito or the spider bite. Let us know as early as possible so we can watch things so things don't get worse. Let's talk about money, okay? This says carry your money in a money belt. We talked last week about having small denominations. The smaller, the better. Traveler's checks do not work here. Traveler's checks don't work anymore, except in a few countries. You probably won't have access to use your credit cards. When you guys went out to dinners, did you use credit cards?
At most dinners we could, but I had enough cash that I just
Yeah.
got stuff.
It really hiccups the whole group if you're using a credit card, because you risk that little restaurant's not going to be able to run your credit card, their power might be out or something like that. So we would recommend cash. You would rarely have access to an ATM machine to pull more cash out. In an emergency, we probably could find one for you. Questions about money? You probably want to have about $300.
Oh, so just real quick,
Uh-huh.
so you guys are all very, let's say, American looking. So you might want to find a better place to hide your money than in your back pocket.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Wallets don't matter. It's just a better way for them to find your money and just walk away with it. And if you have a license in there or something, they'll
Yeah.
walk away with that too. They don't care. So,
Pickpockets are very well trained there. My husband and I travel a lot, and we have seen pickpockets. We have been, they have tried to pickpocket us several times, but you've got to be very proactive at that. So I highly recommend either a neck pouch, fanny pack. You can even buy these things called pack safes that is like a backpack that they can't cut through. So be very proactive at taking care of your money. I also recommend putting your money in some different places, so if they do snag your, pouch or whatever, you've got some more money somewhere else. Your passport is the most important thing you have with you, okay? If you lose all your money, we'll help you, we'll help you out, but if you lose your passport, you may not be able to get back home. So it's very serious that you know at all times where your passport is, especially on this trip. I love our Dominican Republic trip because when we get to the guest house, they take your passports and they put them in a safe for you all week long. And they're very safe until you go back to the airport. On this trip, you are responsible for your passport 24/7, okay? Make sure you know where it is. I recommend that you leave a copy of it with a family member back here at home, that you scan a copy and send it to yourself electronically, that you take a copy of it. We have a copy of it. But make sure that you've got copies in lots of other places so that you could get that copy if you had to go to the embassy to get a replacement passport. That is what you have to do if you lose your passport. Do not lose your passport at all. Any other tips, hints, those of you who've traveled overseas? Passport safety? It is a little scary. A lot of times people can throw it on their bed when they come in at night. They're cleaning out their pouches or your backpacks. It gets underneath the bed or something like that, or in your bed sheets. Just please, please, please guard your passport. Okay. You are going to see a lot of cute little animals that you're going to want to pick up and pet. Guess what? Don't do that. It's very, very sad, the situation of animals in these countries. But oftentimes they've not been vaccinated, and so rabies is very present. And so you want to make sure that you're not picking up that cute little pig that's running through our clinic. And be very cautious about that. And if you do get injured, let us know immediately. Okay, so wear sunscreens, sunglasses, and protective clothing. It will be very warm while we're down there. And so you put on your sunscreen first and then the DEET. Make sense? So just kind of get that through your mind. Sunscreen first and then the DEET. It does say avoid sexual contact with new partners. Everything in here we've had happen before. I've had students who hooked up with different people while they've been on these trips. And I hate to say it, but that's, I actually have a student who is now a dentist. She met and has subsequently married one of our translators on the Dominican Republic trip and brought him back here to the States. Her dad was not very happy about that, but they have lived happily ever after. They've been married now for 3 years, and she is a dentist.
So the moral of this story.
Moral of the story is?
Keep your eye open.
I'm married.
Oh, hopefully most of you are married.
We're gonna have to keep chatting about
Anyway. Avoid swimming in freshwater lakes, ponds, streams. Protective footwear. It's going to be really hot, and on the clinic days you want to have closed-toed tennis shoes, things like that. But when we get back to the hotel or where we're staying, you probably want your flip-flops, but just make sure that you are wearing footwear the places over there aren't as safe. You might notice broken glass everywhere. You might notice all kinds of things. So always wear good footwear. Don't go barefoot. Theft does occur. As we were saying, pickpockets are out there. They may come in the form of the person you might think is the most trustworthy. So be very cautious about that. If you're going out from where we're lodging in the evening, you do have the ability to do that. Please go in groups, be safe. I would encourage you to let us know that a group of you is going out somewhere, just so we know to be cognizant of when you get back, so that we don't have to go. I think with GMT, they send people with you. You did GMT before. Like if you want to go out at night, they will usually send a staff member to go out with you.
Yeah, either a doctor or a translator. They're they like to show you around anyway.
Yeah, they do. So take advantage of that, but always go out in a group, okay? Be cautious about new acquaintances. I'm very cautious about this. You will meet people who will want to friend you on Facebook. They'll want your phone number. They're going to want your Instagram. Be a little careful about that. Usually GMT staff are okay, but I'm always a little cautious. Even in the Dominican Republic, I have a translator down there I work with a lot, and I have friended him, and when I first did, he started hounding me about helping him get over here to the United States. It's like, no, that's probably not what I want to do. So I'm always very cautious about that. I don't say don't do it, but be cautious and maybe don't engage as much with that person. Dress modestly. This is not the time to wear hoochie mama shorts or string tops, things like that, you guys. Okay, no hoochie mama shorts for you guys. I've seen guys wear those hoochie mama shorts and they just don't work. So you are only setting yourself up for stuff if you're going out dressed like that, unfortunately. So please make sure that you're dressing modestly, especially in the evenings when we go out, things like that. Carry small amounts of money with you. Have a resource for obtaining additional funds. That's usually us if somebody loses their wallet. And certainly if your life is threatened, hand over your valuables. Okay. If you incur any problems, please tell us immediately. Okay? Immediately. If you sense any sense of danger or anything like that, please let us know. Be an informed and responsible traveler. I have seen students be not real sensitive to the country they're in. And when I say that, I ask you that you respect who they are as a country. And we'll talk a little bit about this before we go. We'll give you some reading materials while you're on the plane. I've often seen students, and I hate to say making fun of, but commenting when we're out at a clinic about a certain thing that's going on. Remember, these people might understand English. They watch American TV an awful lot. Please don't be talking about people in a negative light. Please be respectful to their customs and cultures. It won't be the same as ours, but it is their country, it's their culture. I would ask that you are respectful of that. If you have questions, we'll have like a regroup usually at the end of the evening at dinner, and we'll talk about things that are different, things that you noticed, things that you bothered you about things, your own reflections, but please don't be disrespectful in front of the people that we're serving or the translators or the physicians that are there, okay? Remember, it's their country. Think about how you would feel in that situation. When we get back home, if you are sick, contact a physician right away, and as I said, make sure they know that you've been out of the country. Okay, what questions have you got about taking care of yourself? And
Just a question about baggage, because
oh yeah,
last email was,
so we sent you out.
Make sense.
So you get one free carry-on, a small carry-on, okay, and then you get one free checked bag.
And that check bag can be like
That's
the
usually
larger
your
bag
donations.
up to 50
Yes.
pounds.
Mhm.
Pretty nice.
You're
You
done,
have to
yeah.
pay for it.
I know, most airlines you have to pay for that extra check bag. So we recommend that you put your clothes in your carry-on suitcase, Maybe put your toiletries in the checked bag or liquids in the checked bag, and then your donations would go in that checked bag as well. But that way you've got your carry-on with you in case the luggage gets lost. We can survive without the donations. You may not want to survive without clean underwear, okay? So then you'll also have a backpack that you can take with you. That would have things you might need while you're on your flight. You know, if you want to download some movies, things like that. I want to talk about cell phone safety and your devices. So please, please, please check with your carriers of your cell phones and make sure that you either know how much you're going to pay when you get those text messages from your family, because I hate to have you come back and have like several $100s worth of out-of-country fees. Check with your cell phone carrier, make sure that you can either open up your phone or your device for out-of-country things, or don't use it. We have a cell phone policy that we ask that you are not using your cell phone all the time. There's usually a window of time in the evening. It's really nice to just go device free for a little bit. Treat yourself to it, okay? Just say to your family, guess what? I'm going to be in a foreign country. I'm not going to have access to my phone, and my school isn't going to let me use my phone all the time. Because it's really good to get to know the people that you're with and to be mindful and to be present when we're on this journey, okay? If you do need to check in on a regular basis, then do that quickly. You know, you're alive, they're alive, it's great, okay? But do check with your other devices. I highly recommend that you do not bring full-blown laptops, okay? If you want to bring your iPad to watch movies or something like that, but be careful about that. Let's also talk about taking pictures. Taking pictures is a very sensitive issue. We don't want to be the ugly Americans going over to countries like this and snapping pictures of everything that looks weird and different, okay? If you are going to take a picture of a patient, of a group of children, I highly recommend you ask permission first. Even if you don't speak Spanish, you can say, "Un photo?" question mark, you know, with the intonation of your voice so that they can consent to a photograph, okay? You don't want to be snapping pictures. We may be going to villages, and on these trips we've gone to villages where we pulled in and all the kids are naked. It's just how they live. Please do not be taking pictures of those, okay? Please do not put those up on your social media, okay? Be careful of the things you're putting out there, okay? But certainly we want you to document your trip. If anybody is interested in taking a video, making a video, we'd love to have a video made of this trip. So we would encourage you to take some videos and take some pictures and share those on our Facebook page or put together. Is anybody doing this for your Edge project? Yay! Oh my God, how many Edge projects? Whoa, almost everybody's doing it. That's awesome. Well, a video would be a nice end project for this, certainly. So, what other questions have you got? Now,
Charging, do we have to have adapters?
I think Panama has regular adapters, US adapters, right? Yeah. So just your US stuff is fine. What other questions? Donations? Everybody's working on some donations, finding donations.
With that, how many Days for Girls kids?
I think
would you want?
200.
200?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you able to get those here, or should we get them in St. George?
I'm pretty sure. I need to look at the 2 other trips that we're doing.
Oh, that's right. So we can pick them up in St. George. We can have the Dixie students pick them up if we need to.
Okay.
Yep. Natalie, will you follow up on that with the Days for Girls kids? And then on the 28th, would you be able to do a training on Days for Girls here? And we have the flip charts already produced so that we can go through those.
Okay.
What else? What other questions have you guys got?
So I thought you said last time that you would have one checked bag that you have, and then you would take an additional checked bag?
We thought that was the way, but we double checked.
It's just one checked bag?
One checked bag. That's all you want to take.
And we
can't
still want to be
maneuver
able
more
to
than
leave that checked bag there?
If possible, yeah, you would like to leave that suitcase there, or because we get a checked bag on the way back, you could put souvenirs and things like that in there. Yeah.
I was wondering if you thought of looking into about having a dentist on the trip.
Yes, we will have dental. Yes, we found that out this week. Yeah. So we will be doing it. Who's dental? Your dental? Dental. There will be dental. So we're gonna we're gonna send it to you in an email, but then we're also gonna print out the instructions for the clinics and stuff like that. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like. Most of you may not have time to read it before we go, but where's that? Let's see, I sent it to myself so I would have it. And oh, here it is. So they have a full-blown dentistry orientation that we'll send you, and then there's also their clinic manual, and this has like all the stuff that we're going to get trained on. We're also going to print this, and then you can read it on the plane while we're traveling and while we're waiting at the airport. There's also this document from Dr. Will about malaria prevention. So if you have parents that are really concerned about preventing malaria, and I love his last comment here. He says, why does the CDC and therefore U.S. doctors recommend routinely the prophylactic treatment for malaria, like the medicine? He says malaria has been and is a huge disease and death problem around the world. Their recommendation can take no chances. This is a broad brush approach. My brush is a much finer tip because of my experiences down where we go, and we pointedly avoid getting even close to endemic regions. I and his wife Pat are with students. Usually they're not going to be with us on this trip, therefore on our trips. They try to keep us safe. Okay, so you may have family members who say to you, oh, are you taking that malaria medicine? You're supposed to take it a week in advance and then a week after you get back. Typically, we don't have to worry about that as long as you're vigilant about protecting yourself. If that makes sense. Okay. But we'll email all of this to you. If you have emergencies while we're there, or if your family has an emergency and needs to reach you, there's some things you're going to want to give to those people. We'll give you the names and phone numbers of the GMT staff that you could reach. But we also want your family to know that they can reach out to our SUU staff. In our office, we'll have a point person for emergencies, and then there will be a higher up person at SUU's administration. So we'll get you a list of contact information that your family can reach out to you in case there is an emergency in your family, and they need to get a hold of you quickly. Okay. What other questions have you got? Okay, so next week we're going to cover a little bit of culture, a little bit of Spanish, last minute things, and then we meet on the 28th again, and then we start packing and get ready. So I don't have anything else. Can you think of anything else, Natalie? All right, have a good one. Take these cupcakes with you. Oh, yeah, you'll have to make a copy of it upstairs. Sure. Because you'll want to make sure that